Hi everyone, my name is David Rao and I'm the music teacher who blogs at makemomentsmatter.org. You can also find my ideas on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, Pinterest, a variety of places when you search for my name, David Rao, or Make Moments Matter. I'm really excited to be here today to talk a little bit about some new resources I found, some things that might be helpful for your classroom, and also then to share about my kindergarten lessons for this cycle, and especially how to keep old things fresh, because there's a lot of repeating, a lot of redoing, a lot of, that's just inherent to what we do as music teachers, because often you teach the same lesson more than one time. But especially this year for me has felt like really repetitive. So I'm going to share some of the things that help me to not lose my mind when I feel like I'm doing something for the 400th time. So that is yet to come. A couple quick things. I'm going to talk about books and resources, some new things that I found. And if you have questions about that, you can find them. Anything I share about that I'm like, oh yeah, it's on the links page. The bottom of the caption on Facebook for this video, and at my LinkedIn profile on Instagram. Or if you're listening to this on the podcast or YouTube, you can find always in the little comment about the broadcast, you can find there's a link to a links page, or you can just go to my blog, makemomentsmatter.org, and click on the video tab, and you'll find a whole page with all the links and everything I share about in this video. So if you're like, hey, where'd you get that shaker? There's a link on the links page. Okay, and then a couple other quick things. I know St. Patrick's Day is like coming up quick. I've got my green cardigan ready to go, obviously. But if you need a few more St. Patrick's Day resources, I just released a bunch of new interactive games that are all St. Patrick's Day themed. You can actually get a bundle of everything St. Patrick's: bulletin boards, centers, games, everything, all in my Teachers Pay Teacher store. I linked that on the links page if you're interested. I know we're like rolling in and it's like, oh my gosh, I need something for treble clef, or I need something for cymbals, and so I've got some games there if you're interested. I thought I would just mention those now in case you need something a little extra. Okay, so I'm going to talk quickly about 3 new cool things that I found in the last couple week or so, that are really awesome before I jump into kindergarten, and maybe first grade if we have a chance. But I wanted to talk about these things because they're so much fun and they're super cool and totally worth it. I don't think I've shared about this on my Musical Mondays, but I have shared about it on I think an Instagram story. So I found this book. It's called The Rice in the Pot Goes Round and Round. I found it at my book fair. And so the Scholastic Book Fair, it comes through, they roll in those huge metal cases, right? This book, I was like, what's that? So it's to the tune of The Wheels on the Bus Go Round and Round, obviously. This is written by Wendy Wanlong Shang and illustrated by Lorian Tu. And it's like a brand new release. I think that they pushed an early release for the Scholastic Book Fair, because when you go online it says it's not available until April. But I am currently holding it in my hand, so I know that it is actually available. I think it's not available in hardback, in hardback, not for till maybe April. But I'm holding the paperback version right now. Okay, so it goes through and it talks. It basically retells The Wheels on the Bus, just with a different, or uses that song differently. So when my family gets together, we laugh and sing, laugh and sing, laugh and sing. When my family gets together, we laugh and sing at the table where my family gathers round. Okay, but obviously I'm not doing this with the kids, because I'm trying to let me just sing it. No, I'm not used yet. The rice in the pot goes round and round, round and round, round and round. The rice in the pot goes round and round at the table where my family gathers round. Okay, that one you're going to have to work that out. I wonder if they actually have notation in the back which give you suggestion. Nope, for sure they don't. Okay, you're going to have to work out the way that works best for you. Yeah, so, and then there are some words in here that you're like, okay, so if you don't know and you want to say things correctly, in the back it talks about a Chinese family, it talks about dining etiquette. It has some pronunciation guides in here. So nai rhymes with bye-bye. Hey, check that out. And so that makes life a little bit easier. It talks about food glossary, dumplings, all these super cool things. So when you're like, nai drinks her tea with a hoo, 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 like she's blowing the steam off her tea. If you're like, I want to make sure I'm pronouncing that right. Well, guess what? It's in the back. All these cool things with the actual characters. So super fun, great resource. And I found it at my book fair. So if you're like, ooh, cool, I want that, I put it on the links page. There's a link to Amazon where you can like pre-order it. The hardback version is like $15. I did not pay that for this book. This was like $4.99. And so I got it through the Scholastic Book Fair. I looked online. Scholastic, there are like 4 or 5 different ways you can buy their books. Like you could buy them if they have like a warehouse sale. You can buy them straight from Scholastic has like a teacher store, so you can like go and like sign up as a teacher, and they'll ship it to your school, and you get a discount and stuff. It was not in the Scholastic teacher store. I searched Scholastic Book Club, and it's available through the book club. So like if you have like students with the little flimsy, magazine-y paper or whatever, when I was a kid, you could like take them home and order from them. Kids can get this book through that, but you can't get it through the teacher store. I don't know what's up with that. So what I found though is like I like got online on like the Scholastic Book Club and signed up as like a teacher, like, oh, please send me the little magazine things to send home with my students. I'm obviously not going to do that with all 500 of my students, but I was able to find the book, and I can purchase it for my classroom for like $5. All that to say, there's not a quick and easy link currently for the paperback version. You got to do a little scout work, but if you go to the Scholastic Book Club website, sign up as a teacher, you can get the book there, at least I think. But I put a link to the if you're just like, whatever, I'm just going to buy the hardcover version, I put a link to that on the links page. I think it's still yet to be released, April 1st. It's coming, but a super cute book. Another book that you could sing, another book that expands your classroom worldview, another book that it is super fun and relatable for kids because they'll love it because there's repetition. I mean, there's just so much about this book to love. And it's coming soon in hardback. You're not going to find it on discount book websites because it's brand new. But you can find this, or if the book fair is at your school, walk yourself down and order a copy. So anyway, the Rice in the Pot Goes Round and Round. This is written by Wendy Wanlong Shang, illustrated by Lorian Tu, and you can find that link on the links page if you're interested. Okay, so that's the first cool new thing. Speaking of books, in the last couple of weeks, I've been talking a little bit about subplans and how I like to use books for subplans. Well, I'll just admit, I have used the same subplans over and over and over for a long time, which is fine. There's nothing wrong with that. Reusing is good, especially with subplans, because I hate making subplans. Anyway, a couple years ago, I bought from Shelley Tomich on Teachers Pay Teachers, who runs Pitch Clips and Pitch publications. She made these cool, they're called like sub-tub stuffers. And she made things like go along with books for a couple different books. I have used the snot out of those. Like, I have used them so often with lots of different grades, all sorts of different stuff, but I've used them. I mean, I will keep using them in the future, but I've used them a lot. I've also bought some from Lindsay Jervis, very similar, like children's lit sort of expansion things. Again, used the heck out of them. And so I know that they're successful, I know that they work, but I need more, and there are more. And so I was like, well, I already have a bunch of really great books. Why can't I create some other resources that would go with them? It's not going to ever be probably as cool as Shelley's, but I made a couple of resources that I thought you might be interested in. So the books that I did, and I'm hoping to do more, but I wanted a couple books that like I have and use a lot or want to use more of. And so the books that I'm focusing on are this one, Ella, Queen of Jazz by Helen Hancock, because it's just so fun and visually appealing. There's just a lot that you can pick apart out of that. There's this one called My Name is Celia, or Me Llamo Celia, The Life of Celia Cruz. This one is by Monica Brown and Rafael Lopez, who are an amazing author-illustrator team. And then the last one that I had that I want to make resources for is this one called The Music in George's Head, about George Gershwin and how he wrote Rhapsody in Blue. And this is written by Suzanne Slade, illustrated by Stacy Innerst. So I have these books. I have more actually on my list, but I wanted to like create resources that go with them. sort of like companion resources. And so I've come up with a couple things that I'm hoping to use with subs in the future, and I just released them on TPT. If you're interested, you can find them. I put them on the links page. But I wanted to show sort of what I did. So first of all, with any sub stuff, I have folders in my filing cabinet with sub resources. I always like print the things out once and like tag like masters, like master copies. So then when I'm going back and redoing, I don't have to like go to my downloads, go to whatever to try and find them. So I always print everything out and write like masters on it and like clip it or binder it or whatever together, binder clip it, so that I know where it is and can run to the copy machine in a pinch and copy that stuff off. But so in the resource for each of these 3 books, I'll just pull apart my masters and show you. So it comes with a possible lesson outline that you can use or lose depending on, like if you want the sub to have this or not, it goes along with it. But basically you read through the story, and the story is the hook, and the story is the thing that takes you everywhere. And then along with the story, I've also included a PowerPoint. And because each of these books like focuses on a person's life or a person's career, I go through. So like the one about Ella Fitzgerald, there's a 6 or 7 slide PowerPoint that just basically talks about her life and career, so that the sub, once they've read the book, then they can go through the PowerPoint with kids. They can just read through the slides. They're sort of kid-friendly slides with pictures of Ella Fitzgerald or Celia Cruz or whoever the PowerPoint is on. Gives them more influence or more context. And then I also have a couple of vocabulary slides. So like for Ella Fitzgerald, it's like scat singing and jazz, and I think there was another one. For Celia Cruz, it's like salsa music and Latin music. Why do we call it Latin? So like it gives more more information and context about that particular musician or the genre they worked in. And then there are also a page of links for media, because what I find with a sub is like if you just give them a book and like worksheets, they'll do that, but it's not a full lesson. I always try and give my sub more than they're going to use in the time for the lesson. So for this, they'll get the book, which they can read through with kids. They're going to get a PowerPoint presentation to go that gives background information. They're going to have vocabulary slides. They're going to have links to YouTube, so they can like things that I've already pre-watched that I know are like, I've had subs who are like, I went out and found whatever video and it was a little dicey. I'm like, why? So anyway, there are like 6 videos. The Celia Cruz ones are really cool, actually, where it like talks about her life. There's one talking about her life. There are a couple of her actually performing. Anyway, so cool videos, all linked, all in one thing. And then there are also worksheets and things. And again, I print out all the masters so that I've got all of the things that go with it. But I also, with these, with my sub plans, I go through and I pull out the worksheets that I really want, and I pre-print. So like I do a class set of the ones that I think I'm going to like assign during the sub plan. So like for this one, like my name is Celia. So on one side it has some coloring options for kids, and the other side it has like questions like from the book. So like Celia Cruz is known for shouting out the Spanish word azúcar when she's singing. What does azúcar mean? If they've listened to the sub reading, they should have the answer for that. Celia is known as the queen of jazz, salsa, rock and roll, blues, circle one. So like it has all these things that are like tied to the book and tied to the musician's life. But I have them printed front and back, so like they can do this side together as they're reading or afterwards, and then they can do a little coloring if they want. Or maybe I would want, for older kids, I could have on one side, this says, write a short paragraph about Celia's life and career, give details about the sounds, musical genres, and people that influenced her in the music she created. So that's one option. And then on the back, this actually is going to be super fun for kids. So it talks about Celia Cruz was inspired by the island of Cuba, its culture and family and friends, and the people she met in her life. If you were to follow in Celia's footsteps and perform music inspired by people and things in your life, what would you sing about? What are your influences? And so then it goes, name a few things from your life that would influence any music or art you might create. This might be some, so they got like 5 options there. Celia shouted azúcar when she's on stage. What would your catchphrase be? Can't wait till that gets turned in for the sub lesson. Name a few people who have made an impact on your influence and work. If someone went to your concert, what would they see? What instruments or sounds would be part of you? So it's like this is going to keep a kid busy for quite a while. And then for each book, there are like different options. Usually I try and keep a coloring page something sort of middle level, so that they can stay busy, keep busy. I just always want the sub to have resources that they can like run with, right? And so in the possible lessons, it's like, okay, read the book, and then the sub can choose. They want to go through the PowerPoint. They want to just watch the videos. That I have possible discussion questions for class discussion. I just want to give them options. So I'm hoping this gives them options. I already own these books, but I'm toying with the idea of getting extra copies so I can just leave them in my substitute file cabinet, so I can have like one that I use in class and one in my file cabinet. So I'm going to put that on my wish list so I can have multiple copies, maybe get a paperback copy for my sub lesson, I don't know, or find them on a discount book website. It's an option. Anyway, right now I've made these resources for these 3 books. So Ella, Queen of Jazz, Celia, or My Name is Celia, or Me Llamo Celia Cruz, and then The Music in George's Head, which if you don't know this one's a really fun, they're all fun books. I feel like I've talked about the other 2. This is a really fun one talking about George Gershwin and like what inspired him to write Rhapsody in Blue, things I didn't know. And then the videos I found to go with George Gershwin are also pretty cool too. So those are the links to those are on the links page. They're brand new. I'm going to be using them with subs in the next, coming up soon. So I will report back. But if you have any thoughts or feedback about those and you're like, hey, that's great, but I would love to have this page, or this page works so wonderful, make another one like that, or whatever, let me know, because I'm going to try and make more resources like this, because that's the sort of thing that I'm always wanting more of when I'm planning for a sub. Like I need more things that are like, ooh, and here's a PowerPoint they can watch, and here's the video links page, and here's vocab. I need that. So I'm hoping to make more things like that. Also, I just have so many great books about musicians or composers or performers, and this year especially because I'm talking so much about them in class, and having a focus on that, it's sort of helping me think about like, well, what would I include, in a sub resource like that. So anyway, all brand new, links from the links page. But if you're interested or have any ideas, or like this worked really well, or this I'd like more of, let me know. Send me an email. But those are all there for those 3 books. Okay, so Rice in the Pot, cool book we talked about, new sub book resources, and then my favoriteest of favorite new things, and I shout out to West Music and Teresa Evans, and I'm so excited. Wait, is it Evans? Am I thinking of a different friend, a different Teresa? I'm sorry, Teresa, if I said your last name incorrectly, if it's a different last name. I'm so sorry. But on the West Music Facebook page 2 weeks ago, 3 weeks, I can't remember. They were doing like a virtual state conference thing and sharing about some of the resources that are new. And Teresa shared about these super cool new instruments, and it was like just the time when I was ordering like my end of year purchases have to be in or whatever. Are we using the rest of your budget, or you have $10 more or whatever. And she shared about these new shaker drums. And I've shared about them on Instagram once or twice, but I just wanted to show you in person how cool they are. So it's from a brand called Luminote, which I believe is owned by like the brand that owns Sonar. Correct me if I'm wrong. But Luminote, and they come in 4 different colors. I currently have 3. I'm going to get the last one. I'm so excited someday. I'm going to get it someday. The last one's yellow. But anyway, what do? Well, so they're shakers. They also have these little, basically drum heads on them, so they can make different sounds if you put your finger down. So I just put my finger down, change the sound. Put down both fingers. It's so much fun. And then you can also, you could treat them sort of like a drum, or you can just shake. So much fun. Endless fun. So you can find them. I know they're on the West Music website. You can also find them, I think, on Amazon. If you look on Amazon, don't look up Luminote. That's the brand name. That's what I found on West Music's website when I ordered, because I ordered them through West. I think if you look on other places, it says like KHS, which is like the parent company or something. Anyway, these are super, 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 super cool, and you should go and buy at least one for you as the teacher. I don't know if you need a class set, because I think they're like $8.95 from West or something like that. They're worth more, maybe more. I don't know how much. I think they're like $8.95 or $9, something like that. Don't quote me. They're like 10 or 11 on Amazon, so buy them from West. But anyway, super cool. Lots of fun things you can do with them. They will be coming back, featuring just a little bit later. So excited. Okay, let me see. I think I got a couple questions on Instagram. Are these? Yeah. So the substitute resources I talked about, they're on my Teachers Pay Teacher store. I put them on the links page, which you can access through my LinkedIn profile. Let's see. Nicole says, "Is there any recording from your Stories That Sing workshop you did? I love literature and sound stories in my class." I'm not exactly sure which local chapter, if it was a local chapter or you saw that through a state conference. I can't remember who I did that session for, but if it was a state conference, they probably maybe still offer a recording. I'm not sure, but I currently don't have a video recording of that workshop, but I'm hoping to do that workshop again in the future, so maybe. Okay, I think that's all the questions currently. Cool. Okay, so let's talk about kindergarten. So just quick recap. I'm on a cycle where I see kids 5 school days in a row and then not again for like 5 weeks. So it's not the most ideal schedules, but COVID and whatever. But also because of COVID, my teaching has changed. I am not singing with students except for just a like tiny bit, maybe, but not really what I normally do. And so that's made it very challenging this year. Like, what do I do? Kindergarten is so much singing. In a normal year, it's so much singing and so many games and so much like exploration and movement and trying and switching instruments. And, you know, I always like when I have student teachers, I would always say like vary it, you know, like you don't have to do crazy things with kinders, just give them lots of variety, lots of short, small activities. And so how do you do that in a year where like my kids were in our seating chart spots and we don't leave them, we're not singing, we're not switching instruments, and you're like, how? And so let's talk about how, and some of the ways that I'm trying to add a little bit of variety so that I don't hate my life at the end of the day because it's just the same thing. So anyway, let's talk a little bit about that. How to keep it fresh. So a couple things. Most of my classes, kindergarten, first and second, for the last several years have started with a song. And it's a silly little song. It's just a circle song. And I play ukulele. They come in while I'm singing. We make a circle. Once we all made a circle, then we sit down. Right? Well, I can't do that this year. So when they come in, instead, you know, because last year when they would come in, I would always, you know, like pump at the beginning of the year, like we're singing. As you come in, you're singing, and you're making a circle together, and once we're all together, we'll sit down. And that was like the procedure, and we can't do that. And so like I wanted a way for them to stay active as they walk in, because if you're walking in singing and making a circle, you are active from the second you walk in the door. Well, we can't do that. So instead, I have a running PowerPoint in every class. I've never done this before to this extent, but I have a running PowerPoint in every class. And so when the kids walk in, it says, "Welcome to music," and there's a little Bitmoji of me, which is that little cartoon version of yourself. And the Bitmoji of me is doing something different every day. So I'm on a schedule of day 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, right? I use the same day 1 Bitmoji for K2 through 5, you know, like so for every class, their day 1 Bitmoji is doing the same thing. So if I'm playing tuba for kindergarten, I'm playing tuba for 5th grade or whatever. But I have something different every day because they come in and they're like, haha, what's Mr. Rao doing today? Or like, Mr. Rao looks really tired when he's playing the saxophone. I'm like, is he tired or is he just really getting into it? You know, because the Bitmoji's like, you know, so like he's tired. I'm like, or is he just so moved by the music that he's like, you know, Anyways, but it's a silly thing. But when kids walk in, here I'll show you a couple examples. When kids walk in, that's what they see. And so then I can stand at the door if I need to, or I can move around. But the kids are going to see me doing something. So there's one day playing the tuba. And these Bitmojis, they're free if you have the app. Me playing a bass drum. This week was music themed. Other weeks it's like snow themed or whatever. This one has gotten a lot of interest because they're like, "Did you die?" No, I did not die. I'm not on my way to heaven. Okay, are you flying? No, I'm not flying. I can't fly. What instrument am I playing? Oh, the harp. Yeah, okay, but less about the harp. We're more interested in, are you falling through clouds? So this one, I had to get real creative. And I always, if they ask about whatever, I'm always like, oh, it's not me. It's me. It's Bitmoji me. It's Cartoon Mr. Rao. Cartoon Mr. Rao, oh, he gets up to some silly things. But anyway, they love asking about this one. So this one, my diversion version of this is, he's not dead. He's not in the clouds. What if he's sitting on a big pile of cotton candy? Or maybe he ripped apart all the throw pillows that were around and he just made a big fluff pillow. Or maybe that's mashed potatoes. Is it mashed potatoes? Or is that in a snowbank? It could be a snowbank. Or maybe it's just like fog. And they're like, well, is he sitting on fog? Maybe there's a stool hidden in the fog. I don't know. But it gets them talking. It gets them thinking. As they walk in, they see that silly picture or whatever. And they're like, yeah, and sometimes it's actually related. Like one time we were talking about woodwinds, and then guess what? I'm playing a saxophone when they walk in. So see there, he's really into playing the saxophone. I tell you what. Anyway, the Bitmojis are just silly, but it's something for kids to focus on as they come in. It's something different every day. And then from that PowerPoint, I have everything else loaded into it. So it's started, ready to go when they come in. And if there are any video links, they're embedded there. If there's any, rhythm reading or whatever we're doing or body percussion, I just load that all into the PowerPoint so I can just click and go to the next thing. I got one of those little clickers. I've shared about that before, the little PowerPoint clicker. And just click ahead. It gives me a laser pointer too. But that keeps me on track. So I always have like my opening slide, and then we go to the next thing. If there's a book next or whatever, I put a little slide that says like, here, I'll show you a couple examples. So like book of the day, I'll make a slide that says that. Sorry, it's hard to read. Book of the day, I'll have a slide that says that, just so that I know like, ooh, that's next. Or if we're doing the copycat next, I'll just have a little clip art picture of a cat so that I know what comes next. And that's been really, really helpful to sort of keep me on track, so I'm not running back and forth to lesson plans, so I'm not touching more things than I need to, I'm not rustling around on my desk looking for like my lesson plans or whatever. It just keeps everything sort of aligned. And even, when you're done the lesson like 7 times, you don't really need to look at your lesson plans, but it's just helpful to sort of keep everything in there. It's also been interesting because there are sometimes in previous years where like I go on autopilot in the lesson. I'm like, I've taught this 8 times. I don't need to look at my lesson plans. And I forget like, ooh, I needed to introduce Ray today, or I needed to do a syncopated rhythm pattern to keep that fresh in our head. And I forget about it. Well, if it's in my PowerPoint and it's like, it's right there, I sort of can't forget it. There are a couple times where like I will leave something for myself, but not the students. So let me see if I can get an example of that. So after we do the copycat, if the next thing that we have to do is do the forest themed vocal exploration, and I don't remember which one to pull up, I will put right here in the corner in like very light letters the word forest, so I know that like that's coming next. Or if I have like a video where I'm going to embed and go to a video next, I will put the time, like 3 minutes and 42 seconds on the slide, so I know like how much I need to allot or how much I need to have come up next. It's just really light and really like white lettering on a light color background or whatever, just so that like I have that on the slide as a reference point for myself. And that has been so helpful. I know some people, back in the day when everybody had a smart board, or lots of people had a smart board, that they would have like, the file where like everything is all loaded into the smart file or whatever. And I don't think a lot of people do that as much anymore. This is sort of like a version of that where like everything's loaded into the slides. But it's not like everything is happening on the screen. Like a lot of times it's just like there's just a picture of a cat and I am then taking the lesson going from there or whatever. But the cat's sort of the placeholder to be like, this is what's happening at this point in the lesson. Okay, so the PowerPoint has been so helpful. That's my hook. When they come in, that's what they're doing, since we can't be singing or whatever. Like I don't want to be clapping out in the hallway and you know, but like as soon as they're in and the door's closed, for kindergarten anyway, we, you know, maybe talk about cartoon Mr. Rao for a second, and then we go to Tabby. Tabby is, you all know I love puppets, and I love snarky puppets especially. Tabby shows up in literally every class, kindergarten, first and second, and has since the beginning of the year. I am sick of Tabby. What? Yeah, I know. So anyway, Tabby, I just had a lot of Tabby. I'm sort of over Tabby. Oh, Mr. Rao! But I love seeing the children. I'm so glad I get to be there. Yeah, I know. Anyway, so Tabby comes in literally every day. And what Tabby does is there's this little poem that we say goes, copycat, copycat, 1, 2, 3. Do what I do after me. Anything I do, you do the same. That's how you play the copycat game. The kids love Tabby. To the point where, like, I think there's someone who wants to see you. And my second graders today were like, Tabby! And I'm like, over. Because I've been pulling it out for every lesson. I've probably seen Tabby like 5,000 times at this point. It's old. So what do we do to keep it new? Well, a couple things. So Tabby, we've been doing, you know, like Tabby will do the poem and then we'll do a little bit of copying. So like I'll clap and then they clap, right? So how do I keep that fresh? Well, now at this point, kids have gotten pretty good at the clap and echo thing. So I've added in dynamics. So, you know, I clap quiet, they clap quiet. Or I do loud, they go loud. And then we talk about what makes it loud and quiet. You know, we talk about patting softly equals quietly, or patting hard on your hand, or clapping hard with your hands equals loud. You know, so we could talk a little bit about that. That comes into what we do. So I might say, okay, you know, I might even say like quietly this time, but I'll just do it quietly, or I'll, you know, give them a pattern. They have to, you know, varying the volume and the dynamics. That's one way to do it. Also changing your speed is another way to make this a little bit more interesting for yourself. I also sometimes will change the length of the pattern. So instead of 4 beats, I'll go to 8 beats or longer. For kindergarten, that's tricky, but it does give you something that sort of breaks up that monotony of like, oh, what now? It gives you another thing to change and mix it up. Because if I'm just in every class doing, you know, like that rondo form of like Tabby clapping, echo clapping, Tabby, echo patting, Tabby, echo snapping, Tabby, you know, like, I'm gonna hate myself. So that sort of makes it a little more interesting. What I've done this week, since I have these new exciting shakers, let me pull them out. These new shakers that I'm so excited about. Tabby has been the one who's been leading the body percussion. Yes, I have. I will show you. Okay, so I am a master of these. Watch. Ooh, sorry. In class, she did this thing where she grabbed it out. I don't know if you can see it, but it was pretty impressive. She can grab it out of the air. Tabby, you're doing great. So anyway, I think that just shows how much time I spent with puppets that I'm able to toss this shaker in the air and catch it in a puppet. Anyway, so Tabby's been in charge of the body percussion. So when she can, well, listen to this. I am not good at body percussion because listen to my clap. We've been talking about quiet. That's too quiet. Too quiet. Let me watch again. I can't hear that. I know. It's too quiet. My paws are so silent, I cannot get any sound out of them. Yeah, so what have you been doing? I've been adding my new shaker. Is it a shaker or is it a drum? I don't know. It's a drum shaker. And my second graders had a debate whether we call it a shaker, a drum shaker, a shum, or a draker. I personally prefer draker, but there are a lot of people who think a shum is pretty fun. Anyway, so Tabby gets to use the draker, and she gets to do this. And then the kids have to repeat after that. They can hear that, right? Or if I tilt it, they can... And they get a little bit more of that. And it's amazing. And then if I go like this, and I put it on my lap, see, look, see it's on my leg. Because if I pat my knee, watch this. Nothing. Yeah, because when you pat your knee, it's very quiet too, because you have you soft paws, and your fur, it muffles the sound. But if you put this here, and then you use your paws and like pat your knees this time. Bad angle. Yeah, it's a little better.
Yeah, it's a little better.
Yeah, so then she does the patting, she does the clapping.
Ooh, watch what I do, stomping. Because if I stomp, like, watch this. Nothing. But if I stomp like this, woohoo!
Yeah, so Tabby's been leading the body percussion, and that's been, it's been so much fun for me because the kids think it's hilarious. I like using puppets. I love using this new shaker. It just makes my life just amazing. You could probably do this, I meey, if you don't have this cool shakery thing, which you should get one. But if you don't have one, you could use a tambourine, you could use a hand drum, you could use, I don't know, whatever. But a lollipop drum. But anyway, this makes it so much more fun. And the kids are like, oh, Tabby's paws are so quiet, but I love that she's using the Draker, and that's, you know, whatever. They just, it's a connection of so many awesome things to make my life less boring. So, Tabby's been leading. And that makes me like the Tabby time a little bit more than I have been. So, Tabby, when she comes out, Tabby's like maybe 4 or 5 minutes. And like I said, it's sort of a rondo form where like we do the poem, and then Tabby will lead us in 4 or 5 or 6 different, you know, 4-beat body percussion echo things where like I clap, they clap, I clap, they clap, I clap, you know, like back and forth. And then, you know, we'll do the poem, and then Tabby will lead us in patting, and then I'll do the poem, and then maybe we'll do whatever, you know. So it's a little bit of back and forth. It means that in those 4 or 5 minutes, I can hit a bunch of things. We can do body percussion, we can do different rhythms, we can do, you know, we could do vocal exploration, we could do some solfege. I'm doing a little bit of solfege, just echoing at the beginning of class, not a ton, because again, we're not really singing. But, you know, it's just a little bit there at the beginning of class. So it gives you a chance to do a lot of that fun echo stuff. And then, you know, get through it. But that's sort of short, but that's because I'm doing it in literally every class. This is a way for me to not feel like it's super crazy monotonous. Another thing that I've been doing, and I've shared about this before, is I've shared about the vocal exploration that I'm doing with students. And so I have these vocal exploration slides that I made years and years ago. And they're on Teachers Pay Teachers. I know a bunch of you already have things like this. So what I'm doing is on my iPad, and I've talked about this before too, you can go into the settings, and let me see if I can find it. Sorry for the ring light glare. Sorry about this. But if you go to accessibility and you go to touch, you can add this little thing that it really works sort of like a home button, or works like an activating button, really. That's really what it's for. But what it means is that when I have my iPad AirPlayed onto my onto the screen, like onto my Apple TV, they can still see that little dot when I move it around the screen. So it works like a pointer, a little bouncy ball or whatever. It draws their attention. So when we're doing vocal exploration, I can pull it up on my iPad. I can walk away from the kids. So, you know, even if I'm singing or using my voice, I'm with a mask and whatever, I'm still 6 or 10 feet away or whatever I can get. But then I can do that, and it still projects up there, and then they can follow along from their spots. So, if you go into there to assistive touch, you can turn that on. And that, yeah, so that's under accessibility, under touch, and then it's called assistive touch. But it just gives you this thing. Now, actually, what's sort of cool is you can set it so that it does other stuff. So, like, when you tap it, it'll take a screenshot, or tap it, it'll, you know, it does a lot of things. Like, its actual function is not for us to, you know, like, use as, like, a pointer on a screen. Like, that's not what it's made for. But it, you know, you can, that it's set to do other things. I remember when my home button broke a couple years ago, I turned this on and I was able to actually use it like a home button instead of my actual home button. Anyway, but it's great to be able to use that for using a vocal exploration. Sorry, I lost my train of thought. Okay, so with the vocal explorations, what am I doing to not get super stressed out about, like, I'm doing these every day, I hate these now. So what I'm doing is I'm trying to use the themes that are sort of fun. So, like, we do the robot version, we do the forest version, we do the farm version, and so there are just tons of different ones. What I've also found is, like, we didn't do this at Thanksgiving. You know, can I still use that? So, like, what I had my turkey puppet come out and be like, you forgot to do this, we're doing the Thanksgiving one today, or whatever. And it's just like, kids think that's silly, and they're fun, and they're all about it. I want it to be like, ooh, Valentine's Day, ooh, St. Patrick's Day, because I have those vocal exploration versions on here, but with the way my lesson plans go, it's like I have a set lesson plan and it'll run for like 5 weeks of school days. And if you have days off or whatever in there, sometimes it's 6 or 7 weeks. And so it's like if I do the Valentine's Day one at the beginning of the rotation, by the end, I'm going to have to do the St. Patrick's Day one. And then like, it's not the same content. So anyway, all that to say, if you have the holiday themed ones, have a little turkey come out and be like, you never finished this or whatever. Like what my turkey actually said was, he came out and he was like, it's not safe for me to be out during Thanksgiving. I'm only safe now. So we're going back to do my Thanksgiving, we're going back to do the turkey themed ones or whatever, because turkeys can't be out around Thanksgiving because eat them or whatever. Anyway, so all that to say, you don't have to keep the holiday stuff. You can do any time of year if you find an excuse or silly version to do that. So let me show you what some of these look like. Again, to sort of make myself not go crazy, let me do the farm edition. So the farm edition, again, that's another one like any time of year, right? So basically what it is just a little path that you have to take, and you have to make your voice match the path. So, what I always do with students, I always sort of prep them at the beginning, like, okay, it says, wander around the farm with the little sheep. Okay, is the sheep high on the screen, middle of the screen, or low on the screen? Low on the screen. Okay, then our voice is going to have to be low to start, so way down low. And then the path is going to go around. Wherever the dot goes, you're going to have to find. So you're seeing me moving it on my iPad, but what kids see on the screen is they're just seeing the dot moving. That's all they see, because when it's airplayed, they'll still see the dot, but they can't see my finger or whatever. Thank you, magic of Apple TV. So what we do is we go, ooh, like you use our voice to follow the pattern. And that's pretty self-explanatory. Stroll around the hill with a little pig. So again, we talk about where's the pig is low. So maybe if we got to one where the cow, okay, the cow's sort of in the middle of the screen, so where our voice is going to have to start sort of in the middle. So it's just teaching kids to like try and identify right away, like where are we starting? How does the placement on the screen match the pitch of our voice? And that's one of the big draws of vocal exploration stuff for me, is like it's starting to get kids to notice those patterns and notice the connections between like, oh, it's like a little small wave, or it's, like a big sort of extended wave, or, like starting to notice that, because then that's going to help them later when we move to notation or move to more formalized note reading. Okay, so how do we not go crazy with these? Well, I love to be... my mom called me ornery when I was growing up, but I'll just say mischievous. So what, again, kids don't see my finger, right? They just see the dot moving. And I always say, like, the dot, you have to match your voice to the dot, right? Okay, so normally, like the dot will follow the pattern that's on the screen. Yeah, and so we use our voice. Okay, so like what I might do with this one is like, help the little rooster jump down to the ground. Okay, here we go. Oh, and the rooster is high on the screen, so our voice is going to have to start high. Okay, here we go. Hey, did you just let the rooster fall? Did you let the rooster fall onto the ground? You're supposed to follow the path that's on the screen. Let's try again. Poor rooster. Okay, here we go. You let the rooster fall again. The poor rooster fell in the field. Luckily, he landed on a turnip or whatever those are. A beet, I guess. That was really rude. I can't believe you let him just fall like that. Because again, all the kids are seeing is a little dot just like falling and not following the path. And my first grader's like, Mr. Brown, that's you. I was like, is it? Or is it your voice isn't matching that, anyway, I'm just being ornery with them. But they think it's hilarious. And then that also reinforces like what the actual path is and how the actual sound, they're trying to get me to do it right so that their voice matches. But it's all just sort of silly, but it gets them to like, to try and do the expected outcome. What's another example of that? Okay, so another version where I'm ornery is I'll say like, you know what, we've done several of these. I'm probably pretty good at them. So how about like I'll just do it, and then like if I get it right, which I probably will get it right, but if I do it right, show me a thumbs up, and if I make a mistake, show me a thumbs down. I probably won't. I'm really good at this, so you'll probably just give me a thumbs up. But let me try it. You watch what's on the screen. I'm going to do it, and then if I get it right, which I probably will, you'll show me a thumbs up. Okay, here we go. So then I'll do it, and I'll be like, okay, here we go. and I'm tracing the path, and I'll do something absolutely, completely not at all close. Did I get it? Thumbs up? Did I get it? Oh, lots of thumbs down. Okay. Let me try again. Wait, let me think. Okay, so the goat is down low. So my voice is going to have to be low. I bet that's what it was. My voice needs to be low. Okay. Did I get it? Did I get it that time? No, I didn't get it. Okay. That's not good. All right. Okay, let me try one more time. So he's down low, and we got these little wavy things. So my voice is going to have to go up and down and up and down. I bet that's what it was. I'll fix that. Okay. Woo! 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 Did I get it? More thumbs down, so then I might like ask kids like, why am I thumbs down? I'm starting low and my voice is doing the little wavy thing. Oh, Mr. Rao, your waves were way too big. The waves on the screen are little waves. Oh, okay. And then I'll finally get a thumbs up, and then I'll have them do it with me. But the reason is the first couple times I do it, we just do it verbatim, whatever's on the screen, we follow it, it's fun. But the more times we do this, the more that like they get it, they understand how it works. So to then put some variation of like you doing it wrong or you changing what's on the screen or whatever, that they love that because then they can like correct, they can find the right answer, they can do, they think it's silly, so they're all about it. But they're also all about you then getting it right or, doing the right version. So that, okay, after the rooster debacle where we let him fall off the screen, guess what? When we get to the duck, they're like, now, Mr. Rao, be nice to the duck, don't let him fall, let him down gently or whatever. So it's just funny because the more we do, the more that they just have a really fun time with it. Again, we don't spend a lot of time doing this, but enough time that they get used to it, they understand it, and then it helps us out a lot later when we get to more note reading or formalized reading on the staff or reading melodies, things like that. It's really helpful. Okay, what's really fun... so the different versions. So there's the farm version, there's the dinosaur version, there's the all different versions. The dinosaur one's really fun because as they're doing the little, the dot goes up and over the T-Rex jumps out and crunches it. That one they think is hilarious. Let's see. On what was another one? Oh, the robot one, like when the little dot that's going, I have it get crunched up in the gears. So it's those are some of the things like the falling off the roof, the rooster falling off the roof that like are just silly that kids would think are lots of fun. Then at the end you have some blanks, and I put those in there on purpose so that you can create your own. So on iPad, that's pretty easy. I've got a little crayon, I think it's called a crayon officially. It's a Logitech, whatever. But you could probably do it with other different texts. But anyway, you go into the edit, which is up here on the top, the markup. And with my pen, you could probably do it without your pen. You get this little screen where you get, sorry, I don't know if you can see that. You get highlighters and pens and stuff, and you can change the color. So then, but what that means for us, though, is I can then do a custom path. Oh, so like, okay, I can do a little squiggle in the moment with kids, and they love that, right? Okay, but then I'll be like, oh, that's too easy. So then, okay, let's see. It says, help the cow make it to his friend the horse. Okay. Ooh, that one's trickier. Okay. Of course, by the end of the week, my first graders are like, made it really hard. So I'll do like, okay, here we go. Oh, wait, maybe not. Okay, oh, all right. Okay, that is quite the path. And they're like, yeah! They're just excited. It's totally crazy. And they'll go for it. So then we go back with the little, dot, and we do all of that. So this is with an iPad, right? If you have just a PowerPoint, you can take this resource as a PowerPoint or as slides or whatever. You can draw on it with if you project onto a whiteboard, you could draw on that. You could find other digital ways to do it, but it's just a fun way to take a resource that I made a couple years ago, so I already had it already ready to go, and making it more versatile, using it over, and the more we use it, the more the kids get used to the process, then you can play around with it and change a couple things. Okay, I have just enough time, I think, to talk about in the lessons then. So we come in, we do copycat, we do there's the PowerPoint going when they walk in. We do a little bit of vocal exploration. Those are all things that like every day we add, we scaffold a little bit more, we do a little bit more, we make it even more interesting, so that we're not doing the same thing literally every day. I would hate that. So we add a little bit more every time. Another thing I've been doing is a book of the day. And I have so many cool music books where in other years I'm like, well, I never got around to whatever because we just don't have time. Because I'm cutting out a bunch of singing and other things, I have time for a lot more books. So I have a book of the day, and with my kindergarten, I'll just sort of run through and tell you what we're doing and show you each of those books of the day. So each one, I'm trying to have like a good mix of like something that gets them moving, something that lets them explore a little bit, maybe something that's expands their musical worldview. And so this week, we start out with this book called Boogie Monster. I think I've shared about many of these before. They're on my Amazon ideas list. Basically Amazon just lets me like group lots of stuff together. It's sort of like I call it like a Pinterest for stuff, because like Pinterest, you can like pin things that you want to come back to later. Amazon on this ideas list basically lets them like pull all these resources and things together into different lists so you can find them. Anyway, I have a whole set of lists all about books, and this is one I think it's on the movement list. But Boogie Monster is fun. It's like all about individual how you move and how to get the kids to move. Written by Josie Bissett. But the first part goes, I've come from Planet Boogie today. With my mission with you is to dance and to play. I hear you're a boogie monster like me. You've got your own moves. I can't wait to see. But it sort of leads them through movements like, it's so nice to meet you. You ready to dance? Let's start by imagining ants in our pants. Then wiggle and jiggle your hips, knees, and shins. And that's the way the boogie begins. So he moves around in different ways. Moves like a helicopter. He floats gently like clouds. He waves and shakes his muscles. He pretends like he's riding a bike. All great things for kids who are... all great different movement ideas for kids who have been sitting a lot. Or, this is a fun, it connects literature to getting up and moving, to to doing. And so it's a great book to have, Boogie Monster by Josie Bissett. I found this on a discount book website. So a lot of books, if you find them, you can get brand new copies on Amazon lots of the time, or you can go to book websites like Thrift Books or Better World Books or ABE Books. Or just type in like discount book website, and you can find a lot of really great books for lower prices. So this is one I did not pay full price. I got on the cheap. Okay, so in the second day they come in, we do this book I've shared about recently called Peppy Sings a New Song. I know I shared about this recently, so I won't talk too much about it, but on each page he sings Twinkle Twinkle Little Song to Peter, who's his owner, who's the or also just his friend. He sings a little song, and then but he's afraid Peter's getting tired of that song, so he goes and finds other things to sing about. He goes to Manuel's Bakery, and he finds all these things. Cookie cutter, icing, messing, sprinkles, dough, decorate. He goes to Clive's music studio and finds all sorts of instruments and stuff. And then at the end of the story, he sings a new song. Instead of going, twinkle, twinkle, little star, how I wonder, he goes, twinkle, twinkle, little flute, poodle, xylophone, cobalt, fruit, carrot, saxophone, icing, bow, violet, terrier, canvas, dough. So he's naming all the things that he's found along the way. So many cool things you could do with this lesson. So on older grades, I'm going to bring this back, and it's going to be a lesson on like taking a song and changing the words, or taking something and adding a variation, doing a different take on that. Because Peppy takes the song and changes the words to do whatever he wants. So that's sort of cool. But for my kindergartners, it's just a song they know with a different variation. It builds vocabulary, gets them thinking sort of a new way. And then I have an activity with little star cutouts that we used for something totally different. But it's like a thematic connection. But it's also just, this is a fun song to expand their worldview and get them thinking in sort of a different way. Okay, then on day 3, we do this book by my friend Dina Odell, called Czar and the Broken Spaceship. And Czar is like, if you ever did, hi, my name is Joe, and I work in a button factory. I got a wife, kid, and a family. I don't know if any of you ever did that when you were little, but it's just like, push this button with your first, I don't know. hand. I don't even know how it goes. I hated that version. It was like my least favorite thing. A button factory, like, my kids don't know how to do buttons. So anyway, this is a different take on the buttons. It's not like buttons from clothes. It's like Czar's spaceship breaks down and you have to press the right buttons to get it going, which my kids they totally get. I'm like, you know how on your iPad sometimes like a pop-up comes up and you don't know which button to press to get it to work, or like something's not working and you don't know what to... That's Czar, and needs help with his spaceship. He needs help pressing the right buttons to get the spaceship up and going, and he's going to need your help. So in the story, he goes through and you press your button, or press the button with your finger, press it with your other finger, with your foot, your other foot, your elbow, your bottom, your nose. So it's just like silly little, press the button with different things. And then there's an audio recording with the book, which you can find on, so Dino he's actually like a performer for kids. He goes around and does like math workshops, like playing and singing with his guitar and teaching math skills and math facts or reading skills or whatever. But he's also just a great musician. So this one is just really fun for movement. It's a kid favorite, and there's a recording of this on his album. I think it's called Itty Bitty Monsters, I think is the name of the album. You can also find a video version of this on YouTube. So if you don't have the book, or while you're waiting to get the book, because the book is worth it, it's slightly different than the video. The video is a shortened version. But if you have the book, you have a longer version that matches the CD. I think it's actually on Spotify. I'll look that up. But it's a super fun book. Kids moving, and of course at the end they have to speed up. So they're pressing with two fingers and 2 feet, and their bottom, and their elbows, and I think their nose, and then it speeds up on them, and they love that to help Czar get his spaceship up and going. Then I found this version of She'll Be Coming Around the Mountain that is like a take on the original song. This is by Jonathan Emmett and Deborah Allwright. Sorry, I forgot. Czar is written by Dino Odell. That's who you can find if you're looking for it. It's also on my Amazon page, I think, but on the links page, I'm pretty sure. But in case you're looking for it, and you can also find on his website, which is DinoOdell.com. DinoOdell.com. Anyway, sorry. Forgot about that. This version of She'll Be Coming Around the Mountain was written by Jonathan Emmett and Deborah Allwright. This is another one that like was really hard for me to find because I think it was published in the UK and I couldn't really find lots of versions of it here. So I don't think it's currently in print. I think it's out of print. So I found it on a discount book website. But there's a video of the original author like reading and performing it online. So there's another one where like I'm not stuck at the front of the class reading and singing. I can put the original author on there, and this is fun to pair with Peppy Sings a New Song because he takes She'll Be Coming Around the Mountain and changes the words from the original. So she does come around the mountain and she wears pink pajamas or whatever, but then she juggles jelly. Okay, I don't know. If you ask her as a favor, she will let you choose the flavor. She'll be juggling with jelly when she comes. And then she dances across the rooftop. She paints the whole town purple. I mean, like, it's a fun, different version of the song. So you could pair that, in a day or two after Peppy Sings a New Song with, like, we're taking this song and we're changing it to do our own way. Oh, and then in the last one, I know I've shared about this before. Oh, yeah, and I've already shared the link to that one. But you can find it on YouTube if She'll Come Around the Mountain. If you're happy and you know it, this version I know a lot of you have already tried by Jan Ormerod and Lindsay Gardner. It's just a fun one where, again, they take the song, the original song, if you're happy you know it, and they change the lyrics, they change the words because different animals do their own thing. So, like, the girl claps her hands, but the dog doesn't have hands to clap, so he wags his tail to show that he's happy. And then the elephant hears that, and she's like, but I don't have a very exciting tail, but I do have these big ears, I'll flap those instead. And so it's just a fun version of, like, take that song and do it sort of your own way. But also this is fun because then the kids can mimic the things they see on there and do movements. So with all of these books, except for maybe Peppy Sings a New Song, there's a component of the book. Usually there's a sung version of it, and I try and get kids moving too. But the books have been so helpful because it focuses the kids' attention, it gets them something to do, it gets them up and going, and it's just so much fun. So worthwhile adding into your lessons. Even if it's just a couple minutes, it's worth it. Okay, all those things I've talked about today are linked on the links page. If you have questions, please shoot me an email. I saw people saying, hey, you should write down the copycat poem. It's already on the links page. I think we talked about it at the beginning of the school year, so I'm pretty sure that there's a written down version of it on there, but you could search that. If you can't find it, shoot me an email, makemomentsmatter@gmail.com. Other than that, I think I caught most of the comments, sort of talked about them as we're going. If you have any questions or ideas or thoughts throughout the week, please shoot me a message, and I'd be happy to connect and try and answer any questions. If not, I hope I'll see you next Monday night for another Musical Mondays video, and have a great week spending time with your kids. Bye, everyone.